So I appreciate everybody coming on. A big reason of why I started this page was to really get back to coaching. Football has been so influential to my life. Um, that's why I kind of created this page. I started this page when I was at Drake University, in the spring of 2024. I just finished up my first season at Drake University as the assistant D-line coach, and it was my second season ever with the D-line. It was very humbling. So going into that off season, I really wanted to study as much D-line play as possible, and I wanted to find a page that didn't have alternative motives or, hey, come pay $80 to watch me train this kid online, whatever it may be. I was just wanted to be something that was just like a one-stop home for D-line play. And, I've been having fun while I've been gone from college. And this has been kind of like an escape for me. It's fun to do, and hopefully it helps others grow. So I appreciate Coach coming on, and I'm going to turn it over to you, man. It's your room running however you want, brother.
Awesome. Appreciate you for having me. Um, if you guys have questions, I don't know the best way to do it, to put it in the chat, save it for the end. I'll just kind of roll and we'll go from there. Appreciate you guys joining in. Appreciate you having me. Really love talking football. So, like I said, any questions, just we'll figure it out as we go. So, really want to focus on run stop and interior D line play today. Really, before we get started, my name is DeOn'tae Pannell. I'm the assistant defensive line coach here at Penn State, really working with the defensive tackles, but we all meet together, we all work together. So I work with everybody in the room. I've been on the defensive side of the ball really most of my career, but I've been a defensive line coach since 2023, kind of. And really, most of the film drill stuff you guys will see will be from UCLA, Austin P, and Penn State. That's where I've been over the last 4 years. In general, my career, I've done a little bit of everything. I worked at the high school level. I'm originally from Detroit. Went to high school in Southfield, Birmingham Groves, the high school. I threw Peru State on there because that's really where I got my start coaching college football at NAIA school in Nebraska. Did that for 6 years, and then I've also had different opportunities to work in the NFL, either through Bill Walsh minority internships or as a full-time coach. So, really fortunate to have all the experiences I've had, and just kind of dive into it. So, really, for us, when you're talking about stopping the run, interior defensive line play, it really starts with how we play. Everything for us starts as a read attack defense, or at least on the D line, we are read attack. All right. Once we figure out what we're attacking on our reads, we work to create knockback and we defeat hard shoulders. And then after that, we figure out how to get off of these blocks, so we work on our block destruction. Those are the three main points of run stop for us and or for our defensive tackles. When you talk about a read attack defense or a read attack front, all right, the first thing everything starts with us is a balanced stance. We got to be able to go either way, depending on how that lineman's moving, flinching, the schemes we're going to see, all of that good stuff. So everything starts with a balanced stance, not having all your weight forward so you can only go forward, and not having your weight all the way back so you're just catching everything. It's really fine line and balancing that thing. And really, here at Penn State, in the last couple of defenses I've been on, it's been more of a, hey, show me your stance and let's coach it from there. We don't have necessarily like a prototypical stance that we give guys. We just tell them to be balanced. You got to be able to go both directions. Also, within the read attack, we also, a common coaching point is don't go until you know. So we end up being behind a lot of blocks. I know as I go through this thing, some of these techniques may not translate to every single defense, but hopefully there is one thing or two things that you can take technique wise. But for us, the way we practice and teach, we want our guys to feel comfortable being behind blocks. And we also want our guys to understand, anticipate, and play the game before the ball is ever snapped. So a common coaching point tends to be don't go until you know. With our read attack, like I said, we are reading, we are gathering information as the ball is snapped, pre-snap, all of that good stuff. We key adjacent linemen. And really for our normal four down calls, our two D tackles are going to key the center, and that center is going to tell them everything. And then we've got three, or however you count it, four key reads that'll tell us something different after that. The center, whether the center's working to you, whether the center's working away from you, whether you have a puller guard or center or tackle, even if you can see it, and then captures how we talk about how we defeat stretch blocks. So really starting everything from the top, how we working our read attack type stuff. The drills we start with are quick hands. Now, in every single section of this, we're really going to spend time on teaching these guys or repping so that we can increase or learn the muscle memory needed to execute and practice in the game. All right. Everything that we do is about muscle memory. So it might not be the exact fit and how it translates to the game, but it is going to create the muscle memory that we need to execute or defeat the blocks that we see. So quick hands is where we start, and then we go to match footwork. A couple easy drills we do almost every day, if not twice a week, to start the week off. Stuff that we do with a warm up and or without a warm up. And so with this particular drill, going with the quick hands, there's nothing fancy, nothing crazy about it. The muscle memory piece of it here is really how fast can I get my hands from the ground to the man. All right. And then with these, we have our guys go 10 touches early when we start this thing at the beginning of spring, and eventually becomes eight. And, when we get around to the fall, it might be 5 touches. But again, just one more time in muscle memory of getting those hands from the ground to the man. Simple drill isn't going to break a crazy sweat. You get two guys. Really, we could have went three guys up there at a time. We just happened to go two. We only had 6D tackles working with us this spring. Then that turns into match footwork. And like I said, we are practicing and we are getting our guys comfortable being behind blocks, but also seeing the movement and then striking when guys are on the move. And so I kind of told you we want to be behind blocks. There's a couple different points you really want to emphasize with this type of drill. Okay. Number one, we're really not doing anything with the feet. The only thing we say is you should not be stepping forward, okay, on the first move. So all of these guys have some version of lateral movement. Here at Penn State, in the last few defenses I've been on, our hand placement tends to be up around the pecs. I like to call it the shoulder or the shoulder pad area. Okay. And then we are a thumbs in type operation. We're not in the breastplates as much. Different blocks, different combinations can get you in the breastplates, but we try to do hands open, thumbs in, grab around the top of the shoulder pads. Really got that from a lot of the stuff that Aaron Donald was doing when he was still playing at a high level. All right. And then again, you can see one more time the quick hands, hands from the ground to the man. And then I'll talk about this more as we keep going. We get to a 2-to-1 on the finish, but it's not a crazy drill. Those guys are hitting me and not kicking my ass necessarily. But again, you can see the reinforcement of the knockback. All right. You can see good extension. You can see him striking a little bit and see guys going both ways. Again, some guys are maybe in front of it a little bit, but as it was going on, or if I was an offensive lineman and I was really climbing up the field, you would see those guys keep their shoulder square and keep gaining ground with their trail leg. But just a nice, easy drill to get these guys used to the movement, which directions we're going, hands from the ground to the man, and again, working their 2-to-1s. Just the muscle memory piece of it. And now, at some point in time, when we go through these drills as well, the other thing we try to do, we try to keep these guys all behind the line so we can see if they're crossing, or some guys will start to lose ground. You don't want to necessarily lose ground. A lot of these guys are opening up, and really that's not bad. It does go behind a little bit, but he's not like dropping and running like a pulling guard or something like that. That's all we're looking for there. But really just try to put a couple of these guys on here. Obviously, everybody has different types of athletes, different body types, all that good stuff, no matter what level you're at. So just showing some different guys doing the things. All right. So from there, that's kind of how it starts with read attack for us, and just some easy drills to again reinforce that muscle memory. Then we go to our knockback part of it, or defeating hard shoulders. And so for us, creating knockback and defeating hard shoulders starts with keeping your shoulders square. And really, it doesn't matter if we're talking interior defensive line, if we're talking about the edges of the defense, we want everybody to keep their shoulders square. Because at the end of the day, if a guy's blocking me and I'm squared up and my shoulders are square, then that back doesn't know which way to go. But as soon as I get my shoulders turned, now I've opened up a lane for that back to declare, and I have lost that matchup. So everything that we do drill wise, we talk about keeping our shoulders square. When we keep our shoulder square, it makes it a whole hell of a lot easier for us to gain ground with our trail leg. And so you kind of saw that on the last couple drills, depending on which direction you're going. So if I'm going to the right, or excuse me, I'm taking on the defender and he's trying to reach me right to my right, I'm going to play that with my left hand 2 to 1. Okay. A hard shoulder in general for guys that don't use that terminology. Now I'm on the offensive side. Let's say I go down block to my left. Usually that right shoulder is in front. So that would be the hard shoulder left for the guys on the other side of the ball, if that makes sense. We want to defeat that hard shoulder, that shoulder that's putting more pressure on us. All right. If we defeat that shoulder and get them squared back up to the line of scrimmage, again, our shoulders are squared, they're squared, the back doesn't know where to go. We got a chance to make plays. Doing that, but gaining ground with our trail leg, that's our knockoff. And then again, what is your leverage on the ball as you try to work to escape? So how we kind of drill and rep this, we've got a couple drills, but these are my two favorites. Number one being the shiver board. I just think it's a mindset type drill. It's a big, heavy sled. Guys are able to hit it. I know as I'm talking about this stuff, everybody doesn't exactly have a shiver board. And so I don't have some of my other clips with the different tools and implements I've used. I've used the wall, I've used the goal post, I've used the fence post. You've probably seen other people do stuff like that online, but you can do that on any type of stationary, strong, heavy type implement. So we start with the shiver board, again, reinforcing the muscle memory of taking the power in your body from the ground to the man. Okay, that's really the main emphasis of the drill. And then again, we're creating that muscle memory. And then at a certain point in time, obviously we won't have the sound on the clips, but there is a certain sound to guys, football players striking the shiver board. And then we move into the reactionary sled, which involves a little bit more movement, but that really is emphasizing us gaining ground with our trail legs. So I'll go through those two. All right. So starting with our shiver board. Again, really, this first particular, like this is the teach tape body position that we want to be in. It's really that straight line, but you guys can see it as we go through it. All of this power is going through his body into his hands, into the sled. A couple coaching points. It takes guys a while to find their distance, and this really helps them out with that as well. We have no problem backing up off the ball. If we feel like we're not getting the reads we want, if guys are going forward first, we will back them up. So early on in spring camp, a lot of guys are starting here on the shiver board. But sometimes when you get too close, you can't unlock your hips and get everything extended, all that good stuff. So we start backing guys up. Number 91 here is maybe 6'1", and you can see all these other guys, a bunch of different sizes. They all kind of line up at different spots. So again, we're figuring out how to transfer the power from the ground through our hands, and then we're finding our space, our time, our distance, and what it would take for us to strike if we get a chance to completely lock out on somebody. And again, just kind of reinforcing as these guys go through, they really shouldn't be gaining any ground with their feet. And their feet should be in the ground, and that power is transferring from the ground through their hands to the man. And now, as they get to their last rep, now you start working one more time escapes. All right. And then we always finish with arm over escapes. You always, here at Penn State, the last few defenses I worked on, Austin P, UCLA, it is always an over the top escape, cross face escape, however you want to think of it. We only underneath escape when you are actually losing. So, again, just one more time, reinforcing that muscle memory of everything. Again, different body types, a little bit longer guy, but maybe still at the same spot. I know you can't see this one great, but again, he's got that nice linear body position. You can see all the power is going through his hands. As I go through this, some of these guys, you'll see the power just kind of trail up, and it isn't transferring through his hand, but it's really the body position. And again, his feet are not gaining ground, unlocking his hips, and the power is transferring through his hands. And then one more time and escaping. And is real again for guys that are new to this. It's really that escape on the end is a really great coaching point. Really great way to challenge these guys and finishing the rep and being locked in for the entirety of their rep. But again, good vertical extension, unlocking his hips, not gaining any ground with his feet, not jumping out of his stance. Some guys will jump out of their stance to kind of create the different knockoff. All right. And then so really we go through that and you get 3 hits on it and you escape on the last one. And then the last part of the drill is how we kind of take it to the game. So now we're going to get a little bit of conditioning, But really, we're simulating those plays. The way everything goes now in college football, everybody's doing some type of tempo, right? Hurry up, get set. Shit, where am I? 3, 2, where do I line up? Boom, ball snap. How do you make decisions? So again, can you move fast? Can you find your distance? Can you get your feet set? And then boom, unlock your hips without all the rigmarole or guys running into each other. So just another way to rep that. Now we have some of our edges in here. You can see some of the smaller numbers, but again, all of these guys are coached the same way. Now, again, you can see the difference in this is very early in spring camp. All right. Neither one of those guys are getting their hips unlocked. Okay. Now that happens a little bit once you speed the drill up a little bit. As long as these guys are striking with locked out and damn near the same time, that's really what you're looking for. And then these guys are all the commands is set hit. Everybody's going on set hit. And everybody knows as soon as they strike, they get into a roll. And you know, in the last time through, you don't have to roll out of there. So again, just another way to it's really the strike, it's the timing, it's the muscle memory, and then we found some different ways to get some conditioning, some different muscle memory in there. Obviously, when you start doing this drill for the first time, it requires a little bit of coordination. I tried to keep as many clips with my guy 73 in this bad boy too. He is a converted offensive lineman, so he's learning. But just so you guys can see maybe some of the progression of a guy that starts at one spot at the beginning of spring practice and then finishes, maybe looking like a defensive lineman. Now we'll move to the React sled. Again, this is back at our days in UCLA, but we had the same implementation or a little bit different implementation. A little bit harder to see from this camera angle. Now it's not so much about the strike. As you can see, Forrest hitting this thing, arms aren't necessarily locked out, not great extension, and he's finishing with the underneath escape. We're really focused on his feet here and his legs. And again, we're working on gaining ground with our trail leg. And so if I happen to be working to my left or his left in this picture, okay, my trail leg should be my right leg. If he was working to his right across that, his trail leg would be that back foot there. But we're gaining ground with the trail leg is almost, really the guy that I work with, Ikaika Malloy, is really, really great defensive line coach. And we kind of started working together right when I got done coaching offense. And it's kind of, we were like compare, contrast, which is which. But really, as you're going through this is kind of like offensive line teaching. You should have all your weight and your power and drive off of that trail leg, that right leg there. And then when those guys don't drive off of that trail leg, that sled won't move at all. And you'll see you're usually leading with their feet first, but this is a really good rep to get it started. Now, again, watching some of these guys so you can see the wrong examples and you see the big swing crossover. That is absolutely not what we want. He is driving off his front foot now, and he ends up super wide, and you see how loose or without power he is. So that is not what we want. Again, tougher angle. Again, he's going with his feet a little bit more, but he's got that bad boy moving. It looks a little bit different for everybody, but you can see that right leg digging into the ground on contact. It looks a little bit different for some guys, but he is driving through that trail leg. Again, driving through the trail leg. There shouldn't be some big, crazy steps here, and it really should be hands, hips, and then your feet is really what we're trying to get done here. Again, another young guy doing it, walking around. We don't want to walk around offensive lineman. We want to go through offensive lineman, gain ground with your trail leg. But again, when you lead with that step, that kind of throws it off. Now, a different sled. I know everybody's kind of got different reaction sleds, but again, guy going with his feet first. Now, 91 happens to be a strong son of a gun, so pretty much everything moves when he hits it. All right, but you can see his feet are going at the same time, and he's not necessarily driving off his trail leg the way you exactly want it to be. 97 is a good picture. Again, he is stepping with it, but you can see all that weight pushing off of that left leg. That is him driving and gaining ground with the trail leg. So, however, it helps you guys remember it, whether it's driving off of the trail leg or it's gaining ground with the trail leg, to me, it's the same thing. That power is on the back inside half of your body. Again, different versions of it. Now, again, I kind of mentioned some guys are going to jump out of the stance when they're learning some of this stuff. We're okay with that. We'll coach you through it. There's still, you can see the hips unlocked. There's still some power going there, but now he's not off of his trail foot and then he's escaping too early. So not exactly what we want. Again, another example, a guy walking around it, not exactly what we want. There's no power to that, and the thing barely moves. And again, there's the power. And you can see again, it's everybody's a little bit different with it, but there's some heavy hands, there's some power to it, and you're driving through it. So that's why I say it almost feels like an offensive lineman, feet in the ground, dig, all of that stuff. It's almost an O-line drill. Again, another guy going with his feet, but again, that back leg is in the ground, so there is a little bit of power for it. Again, if I've got a React sled that's kind of like this, it's a little bit wider. I do, we started coaching these guys up like you should be hitting this thing locked out because there's enough surface there to strike that thing almost like a shiverboard. So we do get better at striking this thing as spring camp goes along. Just don't have those clips here. And then again, one more time, just a guy converted, learning, jumping out of his stance, good locked out. But again, he's trying to go too fast. We want to go through people. We're not going to go around them. We're not going to avoid them. We've got different calls and things like that to get those guys in those positions. Again, another illustration of power driving off of that trail leg. You guys can see it. Yeah, that left foot is triggering, but all that power is on his back foot, gaining ground with his trail leg. So now that we've created some knockback, and we've talked about defeating hard shoulders. Now we'll talk about the block destruction part of it. Really, block destruction, everything starts with the shock and snatch for us. The shock and snatch should naturally lead itself to the 2-to-1. Again, two hands, shock to one. I want to go 2-to-1 to make myself longer. I happen to be 6'5". I got long ass arms, so I happen to be the perfect guy to demonstrate all these drills on these guys. But if they don't go 2-to-1, I can grab them in the back of their pads, the back of their jerseys, and those guys know you are getting that holding call. That's not a holding call anymore. You are blocked, and so it's just a good reinforces everything. You're going to make yourself that much longer with one hand as opposed to trying to sit there with two hands. So the shock and snatch getting to your 2-to-1. Which way you're going to escape obviously depends on what type of blocks you're getting. We work both a front side escape, basically crossing a guy's face, and we work backside, going behind it, getting flat, and get back into the action. But at the end of the day, only thing that matters for us, or the most important part on the block destruction part, you still got to clear your trail arm, your trail leg to win on that one-on-one block. And so some of the drills we'll focus on is really our snatch circuit, and then we work off of different pods, pop-ups, and things like that, and incorporate a bunch of stuff. So starting with our snatch circuit, really love this drill. Number one, just for the synchronicity of it. That's a big word I just learned these last couple of weeks and figured I'm going to try to use it as much as I can. Synchronicity. All right. And then really it's the multitude of reps guys are getting. So just kind of explaining the important parts of the drills in case you guys are able to incorporate something like this. Really, this initial part starts on bodies, okay? On the bodies, and really this first part, the main emphasis is the knockback or the shock. And really, all of these guys should start with their feet behind the white. They can be in tight or they can be locked out. We're good. That's not like a huge emphasis. But on the initial shock, your feet should cross the white and you should be trying to get extension. Okay. As you get extension, as you feel, now I'm the offensive guy, as you feel that offensive guy's head go back, that's when I should already be at my 2-to-1 and I should be pulling. This drill is all about timing. And it helps out the timing with these guys getting off of blocks and everything once we get to the actual practice periods and everything. All right. So that first one is all shock and snatch, and it's really the emphasis is the shock. All right. So you can see fours maybe going a little bit too fast. 15's got the really good one. Now, there's a reason he was the 15 overall pick in the NFL. He triggers his hands pretty fast, and he does all that little stuff just the right way. Now, everybody's still on the same whistle. This is it. Ready? It's a hit. Everybody's going at the same time. Now, once I get to the sandbags, and that for some of you guys trying to incorporate drills like this, you really want 25-pound sandbags. This isn't an extra weightlifting session. We don't need guys throwing their backs out. We don't need some guys will grab the 45 plates and everything, and those are still a little bit too much. So if you can get some of those 25-pound sandbags, those are really the best ones in my opinion. I've tried to use the 50, 60-pound sandbags, and you really don't get what you want out of it. But again, the emphasis here now, all right, it's again still the timing. And so you getting extension with that sandbag is again simulating that timing. As soon as you feel that offensive lineman's head snap back, that's when I'm pulling the trigger to get that guy on the ground. And at the same time, really focusing on a 15 here, his timing. As I hit the top of that thing, I've got to take my left hand off. Okay. And simultaneously, I'm taking that left hand off and I'm pulling down. I'm not pulling across like I'm closing the slider door. We don't want that. That's going to take too much time. We want to be shock and put them down. Okay. Shock and put them down. So, again, now the thing I will say, all right, if you guys can get it to, and this is kind of a constant battle, you really don't want these guys putting it way above their head. There's not too many people playing football all the way up here. Maybe four was at some points in times because he was a 6 footer sitting in there at about 215, taking on double teams and everything. 15 has got a little bit better placement, but as much as you can, try to keep that bag in front of your face so it's more realistic. And then again, just it should be straight down. And really the best ones is not all of it, your body's not all over the place, but those are two good ones. And again, you can see, I think 15 does a better job getting that left hand off. That is our 2-to-1 that I've been talking about, and it helps get your body out of the way to clear that guy. And then we get to the pop-ups, and really the pop-ups tells you everything. The pop-ups tell you if your timing is too slow or if you're taking too long to get it on the ground. So there's one of us coaches, the last few schools I've been at, we've been able to have 3 defensive line coaches. And so there's one time everybody, and when somebody's bag doesn't hit the ground, we tell them and they got to start over. The bag should hit the ground. But if your bag is not hitting the ground, that tells you that your timing is off. Maybe you're taking too long on the back end. Maybe you're not doing a good enough job getting your 2-to-1. We don't spend a whole lot of time on overcoaching these guys. Yeah, obviously we don't want that big crazy swim. Okay, but sometimes it's naturally going to happen. We don't spend a whole lot of time. Hey, you got to shoot that thing through. Yeah, heck yeah, we don't want all your pads exposed and everything. But theoretically, if we're doing this drill right, that son of a gun is on the ground. So it really don't matter. You got to get that trail arm and your trail leg through however you can. So we'll watch a couple of these. Again, you can see all different types of guys doing this. You see early enrollees. You see guys that are playing in the NFL right now. Some guys playing faster than others. A couple things. Again, if you can see 88 here on the far side, on the far bag, one thing, he's doing it naturally just because he was new to it. You can see both his numbers. So he turned his hips so his shoulders aren't square. And usually what happens after that, somebody ends up blocking your back and then they run you by the play. So again, just one more time, if you can keep those shoulders square. 41's got a little bit of shoulder turn, but again, everybody should have a little bit of shoulder turn in terms of escaping and things like that. Again, really good rep by 93. Great extension 2-to-1, timing, bam, it's on the ground. 94, not as great, but good extension. Again, the argument is, can he get that left hand off and get that bag on the ground? Again, maybe a little bit too much body action by 95, but I love the emphasis on the escape and the finish. 91 is where you don't want to be. See how he's got that right hand all the way in front. Now, again, good example about 99 in the back. That is the emphasis at the start of this thing. It's the shock. And then now he could do a better job escaping on his 2-to-1 and getting a pull through on his snatch. So we'll do that drill every day. We did it every day this spring, once a week, twice a week. If you guys kind of want to know how we set up our drills and everything like that, write that down. We can talk about it at the end. But this is one of my favorite drills. Again, just muscle memory, man. We're creating muscle memory. Again, this is not where we want to be on 57. Full 2 hands on that thing, full body turn. Got a little extra head juice in there. I don't know what's going on. 11's got a really good picture. 58's too high. 11's really where you want to be at. And again, emphasize the escapes how you want, whatever is more important for you guys. This is our snatch circuit. It's really hard to find drills to get 6 guys going at once. And then just again, we're doing it here at Penn State as well. Again, one more emphasis. You can really see the emphasis on the shock part. So I wanted to show you guys that. And then again, just 2 examples. One guy, 42, keeping the shoulder square. He's going to have a chance to make plays. 91 with the shoulders turn and the hips turn. He's got to be a great athlete to get square back up and make that play. So that's all. Just little things we focus on. Now, one more time. Now it's just 2 guys working. And we're still emphasizing the same fundamentals. Now we've just took out the shock part of it. Now we've took out the sandbag part of it. And then now we found a way to work on a little bit of conditioning. It could be kind of a screen retrace type drill. But again, this is one we really use to kind of get loose and get going at practice. And so basically, we try to put these bags in between the two 5 yard markers. All right. Whichever way we're going, both guys start the same way. We'll work an escape to the right, we'll work an escape to the left. No matter what, however, which way we're escaping, there's a coach standing down here. And as these guys escape, you get a point. The conditioning part of it, you have to sprint through your five. So if I'm in this line here, I've got to sprint through that five. If I'm in this line here, I got to sprint through that five. So you get a little extra conditioning, get these guys moving a little bit. Like I said, we use it to get these guys loose. So you see everybody's not digging here, but it's one more chance to get muscle memory. Again, everybody's going to be a little bit different. Would love to see a little bit more on the shock part from 56 here, but it's a really good job on his 2 to 1. That's that trail leg coming through, that left arm and that left leg, clearing the trail arm, trail leg. 39, a little bit different with it. Again, probably needs to get his feet going on the shock a little bit more and probably can get his left hand off of there just a little bit faster, just so you can see the different body positions and how much faster 56 is able to play than 39. And again, if you clean up the wide swim, it may be able to get into a better body position faster. Again, just another, doing it at a different place. And again, sprint through your five, whether you're practicing full go or you're a little bit banged up there like 12 is. But again, really good shock, really good timing, really good. You can see the left hand come off. And again, getting that trail arm and trail leg through. More good examples. Again, if that bag isn't hitting the ground, that's when you start evaluating their timing, how you're teaching it, all that different stuff. And again, no matter what part in practice you're trying to get this, whether you're just getting them going, you can change the drill up a little bit and things like that. So different ways. Now, there's also, I don't think I put that one in here. We also work kind of a void. And so there are certain double teams, if you guys can imagine, like myself as a coach or another defensive lineman standing there, you can work double teams and we'll say, hey, avoid right or avoid left. Or these guys will, hey, shock and snatch, shock and snatch, and then they'll get their feet avoiding right. The double team comes and then they'll put their feet back on there. Again, that'll be a drill I can show to some of you guys if you guys would like to see that one on our personal time. All right. So now you guys understand how we read attack, how we generate knockoff and defeat hard shoulders. And then now after the block destruction, now it's about how we play all of these blocks. And so really at the end of the day, all your one-on-one blocks, no matter if you're a 0, a 1, a 2, a 3, all right, at the end of the day, no matter what, from that position, you want to defeat hard shoulders. Now you can't know, or excuse me, we spend a lot of time either whether you want to call it game planning, breakdown, teaching, our guys know based on where that back is, that tells our guys everything. Okay. That tells our alignment. And so some clips you'll see when the back is away from them, guys cheat out a little bit wider. So the thought process, I can be wider because the run's coming to me and I can be vertical with my footwork. And then sometimes when guys are lined up to the running back, they want to be tighter to their man so they can move laterally with the direction of the run. So you can see those little things, but those also will tell us if the back is to me, right? I know that my double team's probably coming guard and tackle, correct? I know if the running back's away from me, my double team's probably coming guard and center. So again, we're spending bunch of time on that every single day, pre-practice, post-practice, everything like that. Will defeat the hard shoulder. And then again, I think the best way to escape on these one-on-one blocks is the cross face. Now, the rule that we tell our guys is once you have created knockoff, once you have knocked your blocker off the ball, now you have the right to look inside. So if I'm boom, I jack him up, I get him knocked off the ball, I get my 2 to 1. Now I'm going to peek over my inside shoulder. That is me looking in the backfield. That is my right to look inside. If I get off the ball, bam, it's a stonewall. I better have my eyes on the man and keep trying to win my one-on-one. I better not. I start looking in the backfield, and that's when you're on the bench on the cooler next to me because you want to look in the backfield instead of beating your man one-on-one. And so get back to the original point. Once you create knockoff, that's when you look inside. Once that ball declares, usually going to be a cross-face escape on the good ones. A little bit of film just to show you guys. So again, this is different places I've been. Really starting with the zero. All right. And so coaching is zero. Not that we're going to give you guys the whole scheme. Just like most people do when they play a zero nowadays, we are essentially a lag fit type defense. Okay. We want to be behind the blocking scheme of whatever we're going to get. Okay. I started with pistol for a reason though. Pistol, okay, or as all we all know in type of lag fits, right? If this was gun and the quarterback's sitting here and the back's offset, right? If we're lagging, we know we'll be to the backside. So that's how it starts in gun. When it ends up being pistol, okay, we try to go off of the tight end. And we anticipate now that the tight end's over here, my double's coming that way. Okay. And then again, this is how much time you're spending on game plan breakdown, how much information you have about your offense that you're practicing against the team you're going against. It gives you different run keys. Obviously, there's some weeks where we'll know the double teams are coming from that side if it's pistol and things like that. It's up to us as coaches to figure all that out. But just some game examples again, kind of putting it all together. Number one, now we go quick hands. Again, I know it's not a great shot, but I believe we are winning that first meaningful touch with the quick hands drill. Now, I think he does miss with his hands, but this would be the shiver board. He misses with his hands and that puts his eyes in the backfield, but that would be your shiver board. But you can see him miss with his hands a little bit. But at the end of the day, he is keeping that big son of a gun on the line of scrimmage. Now, again, we want to get to the next part. We want to be in block destruction. We want to be locked out. We want to be 2-1. We want to be cross-face escape. But because he doesn't create any knockoff, that's a little bit harder to do. But we do love that initial fit and just wanted to show you that. Now, the same thing, like I said, here at Penn State, Austin P, where I've been, UCLA, all of these guys are coached the same way. So you can kind of see the initial, hey, quick hands by both edges. All right. And then now you can see the shiver board. And then now you can see good examples of your 2-1s, your over the top escapes. And then, damn, can I get in on the action and make the play there? All right. Again, now you got the back offset. So again, we can anticipate our double teams coming from that side. Again, can I go quick hands? Now, again, they flipped it back. Something we got to spend time on working with these guys during the week. I think you guys can kind of see it here as the back flips. He's getting set, he's peeking. All right, my back's over there, anticipating it from that side. Back flips a little bit. Oh, I got to fix my feet. I'm anticipating it back coming from the other side. So again, that's we spend a lot of time with these guys reading, talking about what we're going to see. Like it's almost more so than what we're running that week. We're spending time on the offense, telling them what these guys do so they can see it and react that much faster. All right. But again, you can see it kind of all put together, quick hands. All right. I think we win that first touch there. Again, it's shiverboard. Feet are still in the ground. I don't know if his hips are all the way through there, but there's your 2-1. And as soon as that head snaps, bam, I'm gone. Now he's able to keep that as a one-on-one. Again, it doesn't end up being a run play, but the coaching is exactly the same. And maybe a little bit better angle to see it. One more time on a zero. Again, anticipating our double team coming from the side of the back. So that ends up being the way we want to escape. And then again, that tells us where our lag side really is. Again, quick hands. I think there may be at the same time on the first touch. And maybe there's not as much knockoff as you want, but just wanted to show you guys all different levels, different sizes and things like that. It all still works, man. It's muscle memory, it's timing, and really at the end of the day, it's leverage. We didn't always have the biggest, strongest guys at Austin P, but they knew how to play with leverage. They saw everything and they were smart. But again, knockback, head goes back. There's my snatch. There's my 2-1 over the top escape. All right. And then now, how good of a football player, how much of a badass are you? Can you get in on the action and make that play? Now, a little bit different setup. Now you got some pod reps. Again, thinking about the three techs now. Now, again, in this pod setup, you can see the coaches in the picture. We know that the back's away. So, again, we know if we're going to get a double team, it's really going to come from that side. But it ends up being a one-on-one. But again, one more time. Now this is match footwork, the drill we started off with. Now we're on the shiver board. Can I get locked out? There's my knockback. There are my eyes inside. So again, just putting it all together. Now, some of you guys might be looking at me crazy. Don't worry about the manager. He didn't know what the hell he was doing. I think that was like his first day there. All right. And then you're like, how can you know when to come off when there's a back and everything? Well, I think when you create about 2 to 3 yards at knockoff, doesn't really matter when you come off of a block and things like that. So again, if we can create knockoff, that's really how we win our one-on-ones. One more time with a three technique with just a little bit different blocking scheme, but still, some of the principles kind of get turned in now. Now are the shoulders square? I don't know. Are we gaining ground with the trail leg? Maybe we're kind of going around it. And again, maybe it's a little bit, the offensive lineman's blocking a little bit too, right? But now again, striking, got extension. I'm getting to my 2-to-1. There's my over the top escape. And then again, this would be an example of a backside escape. We had no issues with that when you create a certain amount of knockoff. All right, again, 58 on the right here. Okay. Again, back is away from him. They changed the strength on us, got to get set. So again, just thinking about all our drill, we see us rolling around. Oh shit, I got to hurry up, find my spot, get set, and the ball snaps. So again, there is a little bit of place for it. All right, again, 58 is a little bit different player. He's maybe going with his feet first, but again, watching him at the line of scrimmage, is 52 gaining any ground? Hell no. We're good there. And he wasn't a prototypical 2-to-1 guy over the top escape. And then the last kind of piece, as we go through the rest of these, we have a saying in our D line room. I mean, if you get blocked 1-on-1, that is one of the most disrespectful things anybody can ever do. And I don't care if it's our last guy on the depth chart. If they block you 1-on-1, you have to win. They all write it down. It's on the top of their notebooks, all of that stuff. And so for our guys, anytime a center climbs, right? Because it really starts off as a double team. And anytime a center climbs, okay, it is our job as defensive tackles to make that play. If the center climbs, we got to make that play. If we don't make that play, that's on us. That's a minus, minus, all that good stuff. You probably sit next to us on the bench. So again, just kind of reinforcing that principle ends up being a nice little clean vice tackle by the two interior guys with the center going through. So again, this is how we defeat our one-on-ones. Back away, back two. Again, I'm sure everybody's got some version of a bear defense in here. Again, you got a defensive end at a 3 technique. We're still talking about all of these one-on-ones we can get. Now we're back to the pistol stuff again, thinking about some of the game plan looks and everything. You can kind of see everybody talking about it. Tight end comes across. We all know where it's going. All right. So I said, like, hey, these guys shouldn't be gaining ground. The feet shouldn't be going first. Well, if you know where the hell the ball's going, that kind of changes everything. All right. So you can see all of those guys moving to the left in the synchronicity with the snap. But again, kind of some of the day one stuff, your match footwork. There's your knockoff with good hand placement by 15. Now, he doesn't have a great 2-to-1 escape there. Again, 93 is kind of going with the underneath escape. We teach that when you are lateral to the line of scrimmage or losing. Okay. And then 99's got a chance to get skinny and go back there, but we're able to stop that 3 with the middle 3 and really 20 doing a great job setting the edge. Now, some of your shade stuff, again, these guys know with this particular drill, even with one with no back and with the managers not knowing what they're doing, 95 knows that the back is away from him, so he can anticipate pre-snap that he should be getting the run at him. The argument could be made, hey, let's be a 2-eye with the back away from you. But again, whatever you guys are doing game plan wise, we change that or look for ways that we can get advantage that way, whether it be a 2-eye or a shade every week. Again, I told you we need our guys to feel comfortable being behind blocks a little bit. Obviously, we don't want to just be getting reached out of here left and right, but we are comfortable getting reached a little bit so that we can get to our shiver board. And then now really we can go reacts leg, gain some ground with our trail leg. So again, you see how his back, that foot back there is really starts on that yard line. Now let's see where it ends up here as we keep running it. Eventually he is able to create knockoff. Now again, the center's not climbing, the guard's climbing on this particular play. If you guys can all visualize it, right? That's that bubble side. We should probably got the wheel there and the mic's here too. And then you got another defensive line coming. Now, again, his job, he's got to try to get back to cutting that ball off. Hopefully, our other D tackles keeping it lateral too. That should be a vice tackle for those two guys. Now, one more time as a shade, looking at 95 here. Again, backs away from him, a little bit better fit for him. Again, we'll get these managers to stop dropping back pass on freaking half line. But again, not every single snap of knockoff is going to look the same. Really, you can see 95's last 2 clips is really staying on the line of scrimmage. But again, it's quick hands. Can I be first meaningful touch? It's match footwork. It's okay to be behind it. Get some knockoff. Can I get my 2-to-1? Can I get my eyes back inside? And again, it's really hard to run the football when your offensive line is getting displaced like that and your defensive line is creating knockback. All right. And then a couple clips of one-on-ones with the back to you. Again, knowing pre-snap that the running back's to me. All right. Looking at this side here, knowing I could be lateral. Again, he is stepping with it, just a little bit different thought process. But again, there's the contact. Now, 51's got some short ass arms, so you can't really see the extension, but he is working to square 56 back up to the line of scrimmage and really essentially eliminate that gap and eliminate that gap. Don't judge me on everybody else getting bounced around. That is 51 really defeating a hard shoulder, creating knockoff with the back to him. Again, everybody's going to change the front, shifts and motions, the new flavor of college football. We're really looking at 94 with the back to him. Again, quick hands, definitely wins the first touch. Match footwork, lateral, going the same direction as the zone. It's not exactly knockoff. He's keeping it on the line of scrimmage, not the cleanest escape. And now we've got a chance to make a play. Again, there's nowhere for that guy to go. Whether you get his shoulder square or your shoulders are square, really makes it hard for that back to make a decision. So, like I said, when these offensive linemen are getting displaced and you can create some knockoff, that's when you're really stopping the run. And then again, just being a 2-eye, again, that back is to you now. Okay. And then now, right to it. Quick hands, maybe not great with my hands. Am I gaining ground with my trail leg? Hell yeah. Do I get a 2-to-1 escape? Hell yeah. TFL, quarterback hit, plus, 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 filling up the stat sheet. Then we go to our double teams. I would argue this is the one that I'm most passionate about. This won't be all every single one of our drills. We've got a bunch of different ways to work on it. I think this is one of the hardest things to teach, to learn, to feel comfortable with. This is all the stuff that I was looking for when I was a defensive coordinator at the NAIA level, and I really just didn't have good information on it. But in general, when we're playing double teams, our main emphasis is keeping our shoulders square. Okay. We want to keep our shoulders square. We want to create knockoff. I do personally believe the best way to defeat double teams is to create knockoff on that post guy, that inside piece of it. If you knock that guy off the ball, then where the hell is the second guy going to fit in? He's going to be falling forward trying to find something to fit in, and he can't fit in because his buddy's getting his ass whooped. All right. So I do think that's the best way to play it. Keep those shoulders square, create knockoff. All right. We say reduce the surface area. Reduce the surface area, just turning those shoulders a little bit. You've seen kind of all of these guys do it a little bit. We just don't want that big crazy turn that now completely turns our hips. And so now that back can go either side and I can't make a play. As a keeping your shoulder square is how we make plays. So we teach shoulder square, knock off, reduce the surface area. As you're reducing the surface area, can you go 2-to-1? All right. And then now I'm escaping. But I do believe, again, the best, most important parts of this, the knockoff, and it's your feet. We've got several, like I said, this isn't all the drills. These are just some of my favorite ones that we do to work double teams. I'll be happy, like I said, happy to show you guys all of this stuff at a later time. But really, everything starts with the bang sled for us. I think a few more people have these. We really like this drill. Again, like I said, I think the most important part to defeating a double team is getting off on that post guy. And so all we are trying to do is simulate creating a knockoff on that post guy and escaping. The coaching points are, and you'll see it a little bit. It's a really hard one to figure out and teach and things like that. We are trying to eliminate these guys picking this actual sled up. There should be a jump back, it'll be up, and they should be off of it. Some of these guys will kind of pick it up, and that just tells me their hands are not triggering fast enough and their feet are not going enough. Like they're almost like holding, trying to feel their way through it. It should be bam, bam. That's the time. It almost like the pop-ups on the snatch drills and things like that. All right, really good start. Again, it's really the shiver board. Okay, it's the shiver board. And then how fast can I get to my 2-to-1? Now, it is hard, okay, on some of these things. I've had a bunch of different bang sleds. A lot of times when you guys start doing this drill, everybody's going to try to put their hands up here. Again, now we're defeating double teams around the neck. Some people coach that. I don't want that flag. It's really hard. I think the best way, like you got to find that little middle piece on these bang sleds, and you got to get the hand like somewhere in between those two bigger lines there. When the guys get the hands too high, it gets really hard to get off of it. But again, that's pretty good timing. There is a little bit of pick me up, but I love his 2-1 and I love the escape. Again, his shoulders are completely square. He's not turning. But I do believe the more foot drive you can get to this, those are the best ones that translate. Now, again, 91's my hip turn guy. So he is turning a little bit, but he is a powerful son of a gun. And he's got the best timing in terms of not picking it up. The head is snapping back. That's a really good knockback. Again, 97 just plays with really good extension. Again, it's keeping those hips square. Now, again, this is my guy. Again, just trying to give you guys a little bit of example. It's up and then it kind of lifts again. Those are the pick me ups. But I really put him on here so you guys can see him do the next one. So again, there is a progression of this stuff. Everybody doesn't just get it on day one, and it's not going to be exactly how you want it the first time you coach it. But really, at the end of the day, it probably came down to where his hands are. If you see how high his hands are, that's usually what gets you. Now, there's other small things you can go through when you start evaluating this as well. Like this isn't our quick hands drill. He did a big circle with his hands and then decided to unlock them. It's hand to man. It's right now. You got to get extension right now. So again, just all those little things showing up and told me, hey, I needed to spend another day working quick hands with these guys. All right. And then now you add in the double part of it. So once you guys are feeling good about creating knockoff, and you can see at 97's hands are a little bit lower, so it's even cleaner. All right, now we add the double team part of it into it. So again, if we create enough knockoff, we keep our shoulders square, we go 2-1. I've barely got any surface area to hit. I'm about to fall on my ass, and then we're clean, escaping on a double team. That is the intent of the drill. Now, again, you can see some different examples of these guys rolling through it. And again, just double reps, maximizing reps. Guys get each side. You go two times and you just switch the order up a little bit. Again, all of these guys played a little bit different. Don't mind 97 walking in front of the camera. That little bit of turn is reducing the surface area. Excuse me. That little turn is reducing the surface area. Now, what we had to work with on 56, now he's got to get some trust going. He's got to get his 2-1 faster. But that little, as much time as that is, that would be him picking it up. Like this sled should still be in the air and makes it a little bit easier to toss. But that's how we know it wasn't as clean of a rep for our coaching purposes. Again, I keep talking about 91 because he is just a little bit different body type and is maybe more closely associated to what maybe other people have. Again, he is executing at a high level in this drill because his initial get off, knock off. All right. And then he does a great job getting the 2-1. And I really don't have a surface to hit. Now, I would love for him. That is the hip turn. All right. There's a bunch of different ways you guys can describe that. We've got our own way to talk about it in our room to keep these guys from doing stuff like that. But that is where you don't want to be with the hip turn. Because again, if I'm really a football player with pads and everything, right? You got all that surface area. Now I can just stay in it and then I can just move you out of there because your back's turned and you got no hands to fight with, all that stuff. Again, we just talked about 90 again. Now he's kind of hopping out of the stance, trying to create his knockback. And so now his feet are out of whack. Again, you just got to coach him through it. Just got to coach him through it. Every once in a while, you see it, we'll go back there and grab his ankles and still make him do this stuff. You just got to coach him through it. All right, even 91, he's a little bit different. The feet don't move as fast as all those other guys. But again, that hand is too high now. So now it's really hard to get underneath that thing. He doesn't have any leverage that he's playing with. All right. And now it's that much harder to get off that guy. You got to be you got to be the strongest guy in the world now to get off of that guy. All right. And then our converted project, again, now there's a climb. And again, you can see it, man. There's nothing for a coach to hit as he's fitting in on that double team. It's great knockback. We'd love for him to trigger his hands faster, maybe a little bit coordinated turn. But again, that's our little project. He'll be able to do that stuff when we get back to fall camp. Different angle of it. Again, you can see how quickly he gets to his lockout. Bam, 2-1, takes all the surface area away. Again, man, when you turn the shoulders and you turn the hips, you get everything turned, that you gave me all the surface area back that you just reduced. So we'll just keep working with him on keeping his shoulder square. And then again, wanted to show 90. Now he's figured it out. Now his feet are climbing. Right now his hand's not too high. There's a 2-1. Now he's escaping. So again, I do think like the best way to play these things, the initial knockoff. All right. And then it's fat. If you can get those feet going, I really don't. The shoulder turn helps, but it's not for everybody, man. It's kind of hard to coordinate sometimes. And then again, it's your 2 to 1. And how much of a badass, how fast can you get off this thing? All right. And then the next way we can work it, now we can get in nice and easy. We don't need these guys hitting anymore. Maybe it's the end of practice. We got a little bit of indie time. It really is dependent on your two guys on offense, right? You need those guys to fit in well, give us a good look here. But that is the shoulder turn that I keep talking about that you maybe can't see on the banks. There's your shoulder turn. We'd love for him to have a little bit more lockout, but that is the 2 to 1 as well. And then now, that little bit of pause is like, hey, man, you got to get your feet going. You got to get those feet going. They ain't gonna just let you get through there. They get paid too now. Again, this is us working on 91, not turning his hips, but again, it's climbing with his feet. I like that. Climb with your feet, climb with your feet, climb with your feet. Or we'll say drive it. Hey, you might be a driver. You need to drive. Some of these big, strong guys can kind of keep their feet in the ground, manhandle people. Not everybody can do it. And then one more time, just another way to fit in on these doubles with a little bit less contact. And again, just a different way to work the technique. Now we're doing it with a knockdown. Again, for me, this helps these guys like figure out some of those tight spaces that they get into. There's bodies on the ground, especially if you're getting these snatches right, right? You got to figure out how to get my feet through there. So again, maybe a little bit too much on the turn, but we will so some guys, I think the best way is go with your feet. Bam, 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 bam. You're climbing ground. Some guys, okay, the best way for them to play, especially the bigger, stronger guys, we will say as you're climbing with your feet, you widen your base out. Widening your base out will help you from not turning. And so that's what 92 is trying to do. Again, needs a little bit more forward pop on that one, but that's not bad. Again, our guy 91, again, you can see the hip turn, but he is going to be an explosive, strong guy. So he will be able to get through there. And then again, one more time, over the top escape. That wasn't a great one. Again, maybe need to get his power going through his body here with 5'6" a little bit more, but that is the shoulder turn that we are looking for. And there really shouldn't be more than that. You get more than that, that's when the guys start getting spun out of gaps and stuff like that. All right, checking out some of the double teams happening in reps. All right, again, sorry, I really want to show this from this angle. All right, really looking at both interior guys. Okay, again, we talked about it, the backs and pistol. We don't really have any great indicators, but just the initial is quick hands. All right, and my shiver board and my transferring my power through my hands. Okay. And then those little shoulder turns. Now, again, 56 playing that one a little bit better. You can see he's got great contact with the hands. He's got a really good 2 to 1. And you can see both of these guys kind of working the widen your base out. Okay. Now, again, we can still, this is where I say, like, if you can climb or gain ground with your feet, or if you go back to that first slide, man, if we're gaining ground with our trail leg, that's really how you escape on these. So, again, 39 not necessarily 2 to 1, not necessarily gaining ground with his trail leg. He's going to get bounced out of there. 56 does get collapsed down, but that is the initial fit and escape that we do want. All right, some game reps. Again, really getting back to 58 on this side. He's to the back now. Those are where your double teams are really happening more often than not. We'll talk about 94's technique a little bit later. All right, but 58 on our left here. Again, match footwork to start. Which way is the run going? Match footwork. Now, can I create knockoff? Can I shiverboard this thing? Or can I gain ground with my feet? Or can I go 2 to 1 and get an escape? Eventually, you can see 58 come up out of that thing. But again, the main important coaching points, that thing's not really climbing on me. Yeah, I got a yard of movement. They get paid too, right? But now I'm escaping. And really, at the end of the day, because of how we're playing, double teams eating up, double teams eating up. These guys can go either way. Let's see who can make the play first. Now it's a race. Too far. Sorry, guys. Now, again, thinking about 93 here. Again, match footwork to start, a little bit more downhill run. Man, it's not all the teach tape 2 to 1, but I am firm. I'm keeping my shoulder square. I got my little tilt, anticipating the double team. And really, again, we got a guy from the perimeter making the play. If you see 53 and 2 here, they're clean. They can go either side and go make the play. Again, it's not all cookie cutter. They don't always all work out the same, but we really do like that fit. Looking at 99, again, backs to him, match footwork, bang sled, there's a snatch. All right. And so again, it's however you guys can get it. If you're a knockoff guy, 99, I've worked with him for a couple years now. He is a snatch guy. He knows his leverage, he knows his timing, all of that stuff. But again, both of these guys, initial knockoff, shiverboard, shoulders are square as hell. And then how much of a badass, how good of a football player are you? 2-to-1s, your snatches, you're getting off of that thing. Both interior guys making the play. Different levels. Again, seeing some of the zero combinations. Okay, again, talking about tight end off the ball, on the ball. Hey, sometimes I can't give you all the answers to the test. I'm gonna try my ass off to give you the answers to the test. It's balanced. We don't know which way it's going. Okay, that's fine. Quick hand, shiverboard on the zero. Ass maybe on top of me, but now I got two guys on the ground. Not got a chance to make a play. So again, just it's just giving more examples. Every single double team isn't a TFL. It isn't boom. I'm 5 yards deep in the backfield. All of that stuff. But you can still win on technique. Again, really looking at 98. That's a shade now, the back to him. Again, it's not all exactly the same. It's just quick hands. Can we get the first touch? All right, bam. Can I create knockoff? Good hand placement. Can I get a 2-to-1? Again, it's not necessarily him coming off and making the play, but that thing is at the line of scrimmage. Both of my linebackers can go either way. They got a chance to make plays. The backers he's protecting, they can go side to side and go get that thing down for us. All right. And then really the last kind of block destruction type thing I wanted to spend some time on. Didn't take time to put the actual game from the film in there. I just thought these would be good ones to add in there. I worked with a defensive line coach back in the day. He's like, Coach, you're giving me too much Indy time. I got 40 minutes of Indy. And right now where I'm at, I would fight everybody in the world for 40 minutes of Indy. So if you got extra time to kill, these are good. Again, just building muscle memory for these guys to be able to go and react and play fast. So we've got three different cuts that we talk about, work on. All right, avoid cut, dead leg cut, and backside cuts. Okay, really avoid cuts are happening at the line of scrimmage. Your dead leg cuts is usually, if you guys can all picture, it's that full slide type stuff. And then now that back's coming across the formation, coming to cut that guy on the end of the line of scrimmage. Every once in a while, we'll move, and then all of a sudden the back step up and he comes to cut you. Those would be the dead leg cut. And then again, your backside cuts is really on the line of scrimmage. Don't happen as much anymore since we've changed the rules what these guys can do on offense. But those are those piggybacks where all of a sudden the guard's trying to get through and then the tackle's running through and sawing you in half. Again, you don't really see them anymore, but we still practice them because some guys will still try to do it. All right. So an avoid cut. Again, the most important part for us is it is reactionary. All right. So that's been the hardest thing for us to get our guys to believe in. Like when you do the drill work, everybody's going to jump their feet out of the way. We don't want that. We want it to be a reaction. And then after that, after the reaction, the most important part is getting your feet out the way. And so you're kind of talking out of both sides of your mouth. I'll show it to you guys on film. And then the last part would be the hands, kind of keep them on the ground. But the avoid cut, again, just an easy way for us to drill it. So this would be the bad example. You come out of your stance, you're jumping around. There's no way, like most of us have played some version of football. When you're getting cut, half the time you know, half the time you don't know. So you want this to be reactionary. He's getting his feet out the way. That's too quick. There should be some type of little bit of hesitation. That little, okay, now I get my feet out the way. That is what we're looking for. And then the hands are secondary. Now, a lot of these guys are early with their hands because they know the drill. They've been doing it for a while, but it should be a reactionary type drill. So if those guys get a couple step up and then they move their feet, that's exactly what you're trying to do. Just so you guys can see it a little bit. It has a really good rep there. Good feet. Oh, it's a reaction. Got it. Got my feet out the way. Got my feet. Now he's probably 39 is probably cut now. That's not a good rep, but that is the reaction that we want. Again, now you got the guy that's still learning it a little bit. So you guys can go through that whole progression again. We do it with our edge guys as well. And again, if you got time at the beginning of practice, you're still warming these guys up. You have them go through the agile bags and get them loose a little bit. All right, but still same thought process. The feet first. Can I get my feet out the way? He's probably still cut. All right, and then we've added. You guys can finish however you want. So fit position. You'll see in a couple of clips here, there'll be a quarterback back there. Could be an actual tackle, however you guys want to finish that. We rep it all the different ways. Now, I will say when you use the agile bags, it is a little bit harder for it to be more of a reactionary drill. But we do, we like all the other stuff that it gives us as well. Because again, most of the time when you're getting cut, you're like running, you're not necessarily going to see it right away. So that is the main emphasis it being reactionary. All right, when we get to the dead leg, again, this tends to be a running back, but it could be anybody. The thought process is, right, most of these running backs is free shot on the quarterback, and then all of a sudden that guy comes out of there, right? So this is reactionary, but the thought process is as you see that guy going down to cut you, you're pushing him down, and then you're pushing yourself through. At the same time, you're going to get that trail leg out of the way, and that's how you do it. So again, this was a little bit better in action. There is a little bit of a hop to it, so you guys can see whether you do the agile bags. Again, we've got them where we start one guy here on the line, the other guy there, and then kind of jump at them and do it that way. You can do it however you want. But again, now we're pushing ourselves through, using his momentum, put him down, pushing ourselves through, and now you got a quarterback finish. So again, you can kind of have fun with this one. We really like this drill. Again, just depending on the day when we're doing it, stuff like that, we change up the how we get through it. But I will say this is one of the harder cuts to learn. That for guys that have done it, when they haven't done it in a while, however you want to say it, it is a harder one. And again, it's not everybody doesn't have to have the same pogo type action. If one guy, some guys might get one hop, some guy might jump over it a little bit. That is the essence of the drill that we are trying to get done there. And same thing going the other way. So you got a bunch of different ways you can do it. Like I said, these backside cuts, they don't necessarily happen the same way anymore. The most important part will be identifying them and teams that do them. The climb and hold are identifying a climb and hold team. Again, our real coaching points is squeezing yourself to the offensive lineman and getting your trail arm, trail leg out of the way. Again, these are hard to simulate. These guys end up going like 2-to-1, locking out on these things, but it's the action. That's a good one here. It's the action of getting your feet out the way. And again, if you create knockoff, you're going to have a better chance at that. As I kind of wrap up here, again, just kind of wanted to give you some things we talk about. I gave you guys a lot of information. We talk about the cycle of the snap every single day. Again, now in the day and age of tempo, different formations, motions, and things like that, we talk to our guys about being in a reset mindset. Okay. And so we don't want our guys' minds drifting in between plays. We don't want them sitting there talking to the offensive lineman, whatever it might be. We talk about cycle of the snap, cycle of the snap, cycle of the snap. Again, it could be what it takes for guys to read attack, to recognize the blocks that they're getting. It could be a reset type thing, but every single play, we tell these guys, hey, now everybody's got a headset, so not as many people looking to the sideline, maybe looking back to your guy that's giving you a signal, but you got to get the huddle call first. Once you get the huddle call, now where's my alignment? Now that you've got your alignment, where's the back? Again, kind of talked about what the back can tell you, depending on where he's at, and then what is my job within that particular call. And so we just talk about playing that game as fast as possible in your head. Sometimes you forget the call, go back through the cycle of the snap. And then the other thing that we always talk about too, it really ends up being the tight end alignment with that, the whole entire backfield set. And so again, we'll probably, like a lot of times as the season goes through, we'll list it out. Hey, this week when they're on the same side, this plays. Hey, the next week when they're opposite sides, hey, it's this plays. So again, we're giving these guys a chance to play the game even before we started watching film and we get to that stuff. So just the one thing that we talk about often on first and second down with all of the block destruction stuff. And then just my little, kind of bringing everything home just to talk about the pass a little bit, just on normal down and distances, how we affect the quarterback from the interior. We try to beat the slide. And so if there's no stunt called, no movement, no pressure, things like that, and it ends up being pass on first and second down, we are always going to try to beat the slide. We try to beat the slides as number one. We're not really fans of the whole like two-way go thing. We want to be clear, detailed, precise. All right. And then now we have clear rushing lanes. And really at the end of the day, we're working to keep our edge guys on one-on-ones because those are the guys that go get paid for that stuff. Now you do get paid to rush the pass on the inside. But again, that's kind of our thought process on that. And then, just how we kind of handle transition pass rush. And really, at the end of the day, what we just tell people is first and second down when you're rushing the passer, the most important things, it tends to be play action and stuff, right? And maybe there's a little bit more drop back pass on first and second down nowadays because guys are trying to cheat or still, get yards wherever you can. We talk to guys about changing their shoulders. So a lot of times if it's play action pass, those guys fit it up and then they're standing high. We always tell them that O-line's hands are always going to be high. So our change the shoulder reaction on transition pass rush, we're going to drop our shoulders, whether that's a ghost or whether that ends up being a drop the shoulder to get back to a arm over type escape, our first command is, hey, you got to change your shoulder level, because at the very least, you might be able to draw that little holding penalty for us, even if you don't get a win. So, and then just our little drill for working that again. We just try to beat the slide. So whichever way the center is setting, once we feel that if the center sets away from you, you are a pick guy. And if the center comes to you, you are the wrap guy. And then again, you can kind of see we're working our edges. That's how we keep our guys on the edges one-on-one. And on the inside, we'll try to beat the slide. So really just wanted to get through that too, just kind of bring everything home. Um, like I said, excuse me, give you guys a couple pass reps of it as well. Again, our guys are talking pre-snap, they're gathering all their information that they can. And you see 91, he gives the trigger. So now it's not transition pass rush. We're going right in to beat the slide. Again, now we're beating it. There's the wrap. We kept the edges on the one-on-one, even the sides going there. Again, really hard win on the one-on-one. Quarterback's off the spot, incomplete pass. All right, one more time. Again, backed up situation, ends up being pass. Great, love it. Keep the edges on there one-on-one, unless it's seven-man protection. Get your wrapper for all of those seams that pop up in the middle. Nice catch. And really your last one, again, even if it's play action pass, we can still work this. There's my one-on-one. I want to cross it. I'm wrapping. I got a chance to affect the quarterback. Incomplete pass. So I really, like I said, I appreciate you guys tuning in, stopping in to listen. Any questions? Again, you guys got my cell phone number. Only thing I'll ask is just, text me first, put your name in there so I know who I'm talking to. We can set something up. I'm free for a lot of the summer, or if email is the best way to go. And then just give me 24-hour grace period, man. I appreciate you guys. Thank you. Like I said, if you guys have questions or whatever, have at it.
Anybody have questions? Let's see. I just want to say, man, you did awesome. I love how you presented. I know you said this is your first time presenting. I love that you had so much attention to detail from like going 2-1 to like the managers. You know what I mean? Like it's just so how much attention to detail you pay attention on the film and like how you're coaching. That says a lot.
Appreciate
But
that.
I'll say like I've never heard anyone say they had too much indie. That's wild to me.
Yeah, well, it's probably a longer story than I really let on. I will say that guy is a Hall of Fame coach in Nebraska. So Chuck Mazursky is my guy, man. Hey, coach, we don't do that much on defense. I got 40 minutes of Indy. What should I do? And I'm early on in my career. I'm like, man, I don't know. Just do something that's gonna work. But
No
uh,
doubt.
it's
A coach asked, is running the interior twist game the only way you would try to beat the slide, or do you do other things?
No, yeah, we do a lot of other things. I mean, again, called stunts, pressures, all of that stuff. We just say, for those first and second down ones, the philosophy is right. If you can steal sacks on those first and second downs, right? Those are really the teams that are leading the country in sacks and all that stuff. When we did it at UCLA, we got a bunch of them on first and second down. So we just use kind of those normal pre-snap indicators. Hey, the slide's usually going away from the back. So again, just one more time, those guys got to know where the back is, and then I do a little bit of work on my end, game planning. Hey, this guy, whether it's the center point, so those guys know pre-snaps, the back location, all that stuff. It's just our little way to affect it on first and second down. We'll spend time game planning different ways to beat the slide, whether it's the particular front, how we set the front, like I said, that stunt call, all of that stuff. So maybe not a great answer for you there, Charles, but I'm trying. Again, you can text me, Charles. We can talk about it. How do you stop your players from getting washed when slanting? Uh, Great question. There's a little bit of it. What I will say is this. I will just see if I can pull up the particular drill for you. Um, These aren't all of the cleanest looks of it, but essentially, like everything for us is all about like the initial movement. And so we make a really big emphasis on loading up that outside foot that you're pushing off of. All right. And no wasted motion. We talk about having your shoulder square. Because again, I feel like it's really hard to get washed if you're not turned and like trying to run some particular way. But at the same time, too, we go pre-snap. And so this particular look would be a running back to them. Okay. And when the running back is to them and we slant, we go stick footwork. We're working long stick footwork, which is shuffle to cross and face on this guy. Okay. And then at that point, once we clear the man, we tell him turn and run. And really, after that, we don't spend too much time on getting washed. Now, the change up, okay, the change up. Gosh, I don't think I have them in here. The change up would be what we call postbacks. And so, let's say we're moving this way, but the ball's running back this way. Okay, we have a certain drill where we'll start our stick footwork. And then once we feel it's going away from us, now we will get back and strike this guy. So that's how we particularly stop the washing. You can do it either way. Hey, I'm moving this way, strike back. Now I got to get back flat to escape. Or you can say, hey, I'm moving. I got back and strike it, but the back's going back that way. Now I got a cross face on that. I don't have that film separated out again. Mr. Hoskins, maybe you can reach out to me on my text message. We can set up a Zoom at another time. We can kind of go over that particular drill. But those are really the best answers I have off the top of my head. Um, we can kind of just keep working through that. When you play a team that does a lot of max pro, what movements, coaching points do you like to counteract? Uh, Honestly, I think the best way is if you can teach your guys that whole beat the slide mechanic. It's whoever has the one-on-one. And now the play action stuff, and especially like the 7-man stuff that's showing up nowadays, like they're doing that so that they can have four hands on a guy. You know what I mean? So that is like the hardest thing. But I would say like is hey, if you can tell your guy that has the one-on-one, he's got to cross it. And then well, your guy that if you just like on that last clip, if he can feel he has the double team, if he can stop, we say stay clean. And stay clean means stop, work your hands, and start working back to your other guy. That's really like one of my favorite ways to go. Again, I don't have necessarily a stunt. I've worked in defenses where stunts were built into a lot of calls, so it's kind of hard to say that there's one that goes. I know we got a lot of traction in other defenses that I've been in, just being a 3-down team to a 4-down team, or having move calls. Sometimes the centers, tackles, tight ends, they don't always identify that stuff when you move. So in my last couple of years at Austin P, we were able to get a couple free sacks just moving the front pre-snap. So that would be really my answer because you really like it's not always the offensive line in my opinion. Sometimes you just need that tight end and that back to mess up because those are the guys that are always in a double team and stuff like that.
How is how is your like indie set up for like are you guys like a 10-15 minute run, like you know what I mean, focus on the run and then the other half will pass, or how does that work for you guys?
Really, man, I would argue it's by day.
By day.
Our,
Okay.
you know, I haven't been through the fall schedule here yet, so I'm still waiting to learn that one myself a little bit.
Okay.
This spring, the emphasis, like Tuesday was a hard work day. So you had about 10 to 15-minute block of just straight up indie. You got a 20-minute block of call it team indie where you're doing, it's more indie for us depending on how your coordinator sets it up that day.
Yep.
And then there's usually like 2 or 3 more 5-minute, special teams periods that we can find time to get the indie work in. We try to hit sleds earlier in practice before you get to team period. So like, let's get our work in early. Any of the running stuff, we try to do that early so we're not regassing them in between team periods and stuff like that. Or like if we're headed into a competitive period, that tends to be those walkthrough type fits where it's 2-on-1. We're just kind of going through the motions. You're about to go bang. I don't want you don't need to mess you up before we go get down to that. If I had to give you like a true in week schedule, I would say like Monday or yeah, Monday, Tuesday, or Tuesday, really, your work day. That's the day we're hitting all the sleds, and that's like our run game focus. The Wednesday, that'll be like our quote unquote pass rush technique type day. Okay. But it's really still a lot of run because you're still getting a lot of the formation keys and stuff like that. Thursday is usually your kind of walkthrough day, so not so much indie. And then again, Friday, just the places I've been, it's been a big practice day. We hit the pass rush stuff again because again, you got no pads on. It's Fast Friday, you should be good. So we're just trying to again reinforce the quick, fast movements. So we try to get our work in early in the week. So again, it puts a little bit more emphasis on us as a coaching staff, like, hey, you got to get this first, second run game done so we can get these guys answers and we can go rep this shit on Monday, Tuesday, whatever it might be. Uh, and then lighten it up as the week so they start getting their legs back and everything, kind of match whatever your head coach or strength coordinator's kind of plan is that way.
Definitely. Let me ask this for like a high school coach, or whether I know you worked at the smaller levels as like a DC and stuff like that. What would you kind of recommend guys like to incorporate? Like I love that you showed knockback. Like, you know what I mean? I think that's something important, whether you're at a big school or a small school, is hey, can you get knocked back and then be able to escape blocks? Whatever, how would you do it, or any advice for high school coaches, whatever it may be?
I mean, I think my biggest suggestion, like if I could ship a shiverboard to every single college football program in America. I would, you know what I mean?
No doubt.
Like the striking, the hand placement. I know I didn't focus on the hand placement a whole lot, but I think that is like one of the things I'm looking for on like high school tape. I'm like, give me the guys that know how to put their hands on people and control blocks that way because if you can do that in high school when not a lot of guys are emphasizing on it, like we could take all the other stuff that you're good at and it's going to be that much better. So any striking, creating knockback, like getting these guys used to using their hands, that I think that would be my advice. That's been the hardest thing for me. Like if you don't have a guy that's willing to strike or strong enough to strike and all that stuff, then it really you end up working harder to give them answers. But if you got a guy that's willing to strike through a guy, man, those are the really good ones. So uh,
There you go.
maybe not a full answer, but my
You're
answer.
good, man. No, no, I was trying to think like a small school or a high school coach thought process. I think something I also noticed like during your presentation was like the pop up. Like, is it hitting the ground? Like, is like little keys like that could help a program. I think of hey, maybe I don't have a whole abundance of time, but hey, if I have a coach that can key whether that bag went down and hit the ground,
Yep.
little tips like that that could help improve and maximize your time as much as possible at different levels. Um,
That's
I
a,
love.
that was like you gotta sometimes you gotta get creative, man. Everybody doesn't have the same resources. I've been up, I've been down, but at the end of the day, if you're willing to be creative, if your guys are willing to be creative, that's another
No
big part of
doubt.
it too. Your guys got to be willing to do it because I've tried to social stuff to guys and they're like, "Hey man, what the hell you got us doing?" I was like, "I just wanted to try it. Don't worry about it." So, but yeah, whatever it takes. Like most high school coaches already know.
Most definitely. Um, do you have any like recruiting areas or anything about camps you want to mention or promote?
Shoot, man, I'm not. I'm the assistant D line here, so I'm technically off the field, not as much involved with the recruiting. But hey, if there are any good player you feel like might be a fit for us, please don't hesitate to send them our way. We aren't shy about evaluating guys. Now, obviously, everybody's not going to be a fit, but um, that's how this business works: relationships, connections. Hey, so one guy might be a guy for me, might not be a guy for the next guy. Might not be a guy for the next guy, but it might be a guy for me. So if you feel like we're a good spot for him, just let me know. I'm originally from Detroit, but I got connections PA, Nebraska, California, you name it, kind of been all over the place. So if you guys are in Pennsylvania, you want to stop by, do some clinic that way, just let me know.
Well, I would say like when you go to those bigger school camps, like if you have players there, Like you're gonna probably have everybody from the PSAC there. You're gonna have all the D3s there. You're gonna have those NAIs that wanna. Yeah, I'm not sure if there's too many NAI programs out east, but probably not.
Not up here. Not up this way.
I gotcha.
Gotta go a little farther south or a little farther north.
There you go, man. Do you have any guys you want to kind of give shout outs that have helped you through this path or your career, whatever it may be?
Absolutely, man. My high school head coach, Brendan Flaherty, recently got added to the Michigan High School Football Hall of Fame. Big shout out for him, one of my good friends, mentor, father figure, all that stuff. As just a great coach, finally getting some of the recognition he deserves for a lifetime of hard work. Shout out Ikaika Malloy, our defensive line coach here. I've worked with him since 2023. Has really been a mentor, great teacher, great guy to learn from the whole way through. And then our defensive coordinator here, Denton Lynn, uh, really a rising star in the profession.
Go. Any other coaches got anything for coach before I turn off the mic and stuff, all that stuff? Let's give him a minute or so.
I just want to say, Coach, I appreciate everything. Um, I appreciate it's very detail oriented, giving us the visuals and down to all the drills. And side note, you guys actually offered one of my young boys, Kingston Jimerson, out of California.
Love
I
it.
think,
Go ahead. Sorry, coach.
yeah, you guys just offered one of my kids, Kingston Jimerson, from California
Heck yeah.
yesterday.
I know Kingston, but I can't. That would have been Ikaika, huh?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Love it. Absolutely. Well, shoot, I hope it works out. We need some more West Coast guys out here. We're trying to go national, baby.
yes, sir. I got some guys for you now. I got some guys for real.
Absolutely. You got my number, man. Shoot me a text. Let's connect.
All right.
I don't know if you guys need me to put the number back up there.
If you want, coach. Anybody else got anything for coach? I'm going to stop the recording.